So thank you, everyone. Welcome to week 6 of our mastermind. And tonight we are going to talk about closing with confidence. That's going to be the main focus of what we discuss. And if you're going through the GoPro, which I highly, highly recommend, the chapter he talks about getting new members or new distributors started right. And so we'll also touch just a little bit on trying to gauge, whether that person might be right for sharing and or making sure that they have a good wellness consultation. So Rebecca is going to start our discussion. She is super awesome. She's part of our super group that we loved and stayed together for 6 months. And she's going to be a great one for you guys to learn from and to listen to, because she's one of those people that doesn't really actually have a strong upline. And so she knows how to learn these skills and find what she needs to do it her way. So if for whatever reason you don't have a strong upline, and or maybe whatever's being shared from your upline doesn't necessarily resonate with you, she's going to be a person that learns how you help you navigate through things like that. So with that, I will turn it over to Rebecca.
Thank you, Tashina. And you are so right about that. Without an upline showing me how to go about doing this, I wasn't trained at all. So I just sort of jumped in and had to figure it out for myself. And so I know how not to do it. I learned a lot of ways that didn't work. I've been doing this for a while, but so what I'll share is some of the pitfalls that I've had or may still fall into, and then a little bit about mindset and a strategy. So what I did for my first class is I was so excited about the education that I had a whole room full of people, and I talked about education for a very long time. It was like over 2 hours of education, and I never said how to get the product. And I knew in my head, I had 3 young children, and I took a long time to get this whole presentation ready. And I remembered saying, okay, I'm near the end and I need to stop, but I had like no clothes. So all I said was thank you. And I had like 2 people come up afterwards. There were 16 people there. And I had 2 people come up and ask me how to get it. And in my back of my head, I was like, I just gave myself a lot of work to do. I have a lot of follow-up to do now. And I, was, like I said, taking care of 3 small children. So that's the pain of not doing a close properly. And I felt that pain, and I had to take a lot of time in following up. So over the years, what I learned was when you shared with people and I saw people get started, a couple things would happen. I followed up with them. When I followed up with them, sometimes they would have a story to share with me because they had the product in their home. So for instance, there was a woman who she had burned herself in the kitchen. She had her products, she used them, and she was telling me this big wow story about it. And I thought, well, had she not gotten the product, she could never have told me her experience. She wouldn't have been able to use them. But I also had the other thing happen, which means the people would say they're going to wait, and I didn't close properly with them. They would call up and with a situation in their home, and they had no product for me to tell them how to use. And then they'd be looking for retail. So that was frustrating. So what I learned was, especially when I started to do this more as a business than casual sharing, I realized that I got really nervous about the close. So I had to work on my mindset better. And for me, I would think back to my own experience of how many times I had the products in my home where I pulled on them and how much they were helping me. So I had to really think about that and psych myself up for it. My personality tends to be where I feel like I am being pushy if I'm closing somebody. And I've been told feedback from people that I don't do that, but I feel that way. So I have to really work at that. But here's something that really helped me is if there are talking before you get to the actual call to action of, you know, the close part of it, talking about some of the objections first. So the two most common are always money, not having enough, or time, that people don't have. They'll think they don't have the time to figure out how to use the products. So I found that if I talk about this beforehand, just like in a story sense of saying, you know what, sometimes people think they may not have time to figure out how to use the products, and then I'll give the solution, or that I felt that way too. And or for the money, I'll do the same thing. Whereas if they say, well, that's 100, if they're thinking, well, that's going to be a lot of money, I will just talk about the value of what's in the kit and the fact that not all of the kit is used up immediately. It's depending on what their needs are. And if I do that first, then I feel like I've done my job. If I don't do that, then I get the objection. It's harder for me to turn that back around again. I just feel like I'm convincing versus getting the objections out of the way and then building the value to the kit. The other pitfall I fall into is when I talk about the products, I think that sells the kit right there. So I don't always remember to build value to the fact that the kit's half of what it would cost. You know, it's like a half price, the essential oils, right? So I don't always remember to say, and this is important to say, well, this kit is valued at, you know, what is it? It's 165, but it's actually double that if you were to purchase it, right? Same with the thieves kit, is like have those numbers in your head of what the actual value is and what you can get it for when you get the kit. So those are like some of the things that I do. I think I have to work more on mindset than someone who may be more of a red personality. I'm not sure if anyone else has had that situation who's on the call, but it's not as comfortable for me to bring someone to a close. So I have to really, you know, work with my mind. And one of the other things that I do is I tend to go heavy into education. And then when I feel like I'm running too long, and then the close becomes this very short thing that really didn't get into talking about the objections and building value to the kit. So I've had to really learn how to, how can we say, not get into so much detail and leave that education for after when they get the product. So I don't know if that makes sense, and if anyone has any questions on that, or if you've had experiences similar to me.
Rebecca, so Dana would like to know what personality you are.
I'm a lot of yellow, and then I think I was equal green blue, but my yellow really shows up when I do the Young Living stuff. Unless if I'm with a bunch of yellows, sometimes then I kind of I don't show as much of it as they do, I think. So that was just my perspective on closing. As far as getting people on a good wellness plan, I'm not sure if Tashina or someone else can kind of pitch in on that, if they have good experience with
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was anyone that had any questions. I know we do have some people that probably have had the concern, how do I do this without being pushy? So I want to see if anybody had any questions, and then maybe if some of the other people that have similar personalities have anything to add, reiterate, or share.
So I actually, when you were sharing about that you hadn't done the close, I literally had a class that I taught. I was here in this house that I'm living in now. So I had to have been at least an executive where I taught this class. And one thing that I am good at, I am naturally good at, is follow up. And so I had this class on the starter kit, like a Dr. Mom class or something, and I didn't close it. And I know that I didn't close it because when I went to follow up, and I followed up with who is one of my personally enrolled, and I messaged her and said, asked her some questions, and she said, well, I just know I can't afford it because it's so valuable. And I said, well, yes, it is so valuable. And then I said, it's over $400 worth of product for less than half. It's only $165. And she responded to my message and said, are you kidding? I can afford that. She's like, I literally left her house thinking I could never afford this kit because it has to cost at least $400 or $500. And I let her leave my house like that. Like and everyone else who was at that class left my house, and I completely didn't even close it. And if I hadn't followed up with her, how long would she have been out there thinking there's these products that I need that I can't get because I taught the value, and then I didn't close her. I didn't give her the opportunity to get them into her hands. And that was a mistake that I made as an executive, as someone who'd been teaching oils for years, who knew better than to do that. I think we all get in our own way. And something that has really helped me that I've thought about a lot recently is Heather Brock has said many times that Heather Brock is in my upline, that anyone who comes to an intro class wants you to close them. They want you to close them. They want what you have. They came for what you have, and it's your job to close them. Now, they want it different ways. It depends on who they are, what their color is or what their need is or something like that. But they want you to close them. And that's a really powerful mindset shift as well.
Yeah, that's really good, Stacy. I think I heard that once before, and I remember going, wow, just that was like not in my perspective at all.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone to purse parties, they've gone to fitness parties, they've gone to home interior parties. Like, when they said yes, they assumed at some point in time you were going to ask them to buy something. And they also decided they're probably going to buy something to help you because you're their friend. So you have to make sure that it's clear that they understand how to buy something, because they already knew that when they showed up at your house. Dana, I think you had wanted to add something as well. All right, so I did take a few extra notes. So I would reiterate over and over again that this is mindset. And I think that when it comes to closing, we mostly get in our own way. And I would also reiterate probably that none of us think that we're experts at closing, right? Because I can look at my phone right now and I have at least 4 people that told me they were going to get a kit and don't have a kit. They're not on my team. So either I did something wrong with my follow-up, I wasn't clear, I didn't follow up when I said I was going to, so none of us are experts. So if you feel like you're very, very low, I would say go watch as many videos as you can, because that's what I did in order to strengthen that. And I can post some of my favorite videos in the chat and then in the boards also where you can find this. And I watched bunches of videos. Like, I watched a bunch of videos closing with Young Living. And then I put closing in there. And I watched videos from like Grant Cardone and just like nothing that even had to do with Young Living, just to understand the mindset portion of it. So one of the things that Eric Worre stated in this chapter that we reviewed is that closing is so dependent on the previous chapter of follow-up. Right? Like, again, you have to get it out of your head that you are closing to sell something. You are trying to get them to their next exposure. And when you have enough exposures and you found a need enough, then you make sure that they know clearly how to make that purchase. And it's very connected to your posture, which is your confidence level that you're carrying and emitting to the other person. Then I rewatched a couple of my favorite videos. I love the video by Lauren Cruz Dow, and I love the video by Hannah Cruz as well. And so one of the things that Hannah Cruz says is, we are different. We aren't trying to sell a purse. We are health and wellness consultants. So the better you are at consulting, the better you will be at your close. So you need to know what their need is. So I looked up the definition of a consultant. A consultant is a person who provides expert advice professionally. So your job is simply to know how to direct them to tools. You don't have to know everything. You use your tools. You use the worksheets for the wellness consult that we've mentioned that are right in our virtual office. You lean on your upline until you have enough experience. So you are merely a consultant, and if you can understand that very clearly, it makes it a little bit easier. And then it was already mentioned several times, truly express the value of the kit. And if possible, do that in the beginning. Make sure that people know that it is $460+ worth of things, and the best way, the most economical way, the cheapest way to get it is with the wholesale membership, so you can get it 60% off. And remember, again, mindset, Hannah Cruz, everyone spends $150 per month on some stuff. People that are making $13,000 to $15,000 a year probably have some favorite coffee that they buy. They probably, and it's not our job to point this out to them at all. That's rude, right? We're not pointing them out, but don't discount if we give them the value that they can find the money somehow. Share your stories. Facts tell, stories sell. When you are sharing, make sure that they clearly know that you cannot live without these oils, and they have helped so many other families. Like, make sure that you are sharing your story. So usually when you're sharing, you do it at the beginning, and you also should have that as part of your close as well. And then when possible, if it's in person, if it's in a group, close according to the colors. So that is very important. Only 20% of people are green. So if you have some green in you, you probably are sharing too much information with the rest of the world, right? So for the reds, they need to know what. So you got to make sure they understand what, like within the first 10 minutes of your presentation. For the yellows, they need to understand, who is this going to help? Who are the people that are affected? For the blues, they need to know, why should they do this? How is it going to be fun for them? And the greens are the ones that need the details. The greens are the ones that need to know the how and the science behind it, and are going to ask all the questions. So when we're back to doing this in person, I always recommend that you are doing it with 2 people. I always recommend, because that way you have, when you're partnering with your upline or your downline, or even if you have to partner sometimes with crossline, when you have 2 people, you usually have all of the colors covered. So there have been so many times when me and my sister Dana are doing classes, and I look over there and I'm like, she is talking that person out of a sale. That's a red over there and they're ready to buy. And I scoop up and take that person. And I'm over here, and this person that asked me more than 3 questions, I was like, go to my sister. She will answer all those questions. I ain't got time for that. So when you collaborate, you can have somebody that will bring the fun to it, So the blues don't need details. They're the ones that are going to literally need the least amount of details. They want to know how we're going to have fun. Like, I can't tell you how many people, like one of our upline is blue, and how many people are like, she shared one thing and I thought she was cool and fun, so I joined with her. And I'm like, you joined with her because she was cool and fun? Like, you didn't get any information from her, but one thing? Okay. So yeah, they want to know like all the fun, how fun convention is, how our parties are that we have, how our Zoom call girls' nights are going. That is what the blues are gonna. Reds are the only ones really. You're asking them how to close a red. Reds are the ones that actually it's okay to start with business, and then they will tell you whether or not they're interested. But they really showing them the value. If you know their need and showing them the value, they'll just get it. You don't need to really do that much more. So, and then share definitely something about, even with everyone, right? You definitely want to share that they know that, 4 equals free and a little bit more, right? Give everyone that option. That should be part of your close every time. You don't have the right to, because you took 6 months to 12 months, 2 years to share, decide that everyone else needs to take 2 years to share. At least give them the option. Say, if you choose, there's the option to share. Because there are 20% of people that will share right away. But if you don't give them the option, they're not going to know. And then just a couple of things specific to social media. One of the most important things that my upline told me about sharing on social media is take it offline as soon as possible. Meaning, if you can get their phone number, now that everyone in the world knows how to do Zoom, if you can do a Zoom call with them, if you can find a way to make it more personal outside of just a messenger, you will be so much more effective. And remember that we are wellness consults. And so when somebody posts, you're sharing, you're doing a live, you're doing a video, you post a graphic, and somebody says underneath, I need that. Your job is not to send a link or the price. Your job is to go into their DMs, not post even on your page, go into their DMs and say, why do you need that? What are you going through? And find their full need, because you know that the kit is going to be what they need eventually, but unless you know why they said, I need that, because you were sharing on Stress Away, or you were sharing on Thieves Cleaner, and then you find out, oh, I've just been thinking about becoming toxin free, and so I want that one cleaner. Oh, well, let me show you. This is the most economical way to get your whole house toxic free. Oh, I need that Stress Away because I'm just so stressed out right now. Oh, I totally understand that. We've actually got lavender, Stress Away, and peace and calming, and depending on who you are and if it's mental stress or if it's physical stress, I'm not really sure, or if you need sleep, I'm not really sure which one will work for you. But let's have a Zoom call so I can understand your needs better, and then we can see what works for you. And unless someone asks you for your link, do not send it through Messenger. Because if you have not tried to purchase a kit recently, it's complicated. Like, most people are not gonna, there's so many steps. We want them to be on, it's something you should really start trying to walk people through. And if they say, I want that Thieves Cleaner, again, that might have been something they said they may be ready to buy. We don't know if they're ready to buy. If you just send them a link, 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna get that Thieves Cleaner. Try to get with them somehow, some way, figure out their needs and meet their needs. And then just remember, like we said last time, we're trying to get them from exposure to exposure. And many people need between 7 to 12 exposures, right? So at the end of the day, you're not going to ever have the perfect close, because you're a personality, they're a different personality, they're unique. There's not magic words that you're going to find that's going to close everyone. And the important thing is just to get them to their next exposure. So people will be like, well, I'm working on so-and-so because you know they're going to be great. They're going to be good. we don't work on people. They're not a car. We don't have them up in the air with tools. Like, we're just getting them from exposure to exposure. And at the same time, we're working that hundreds names list we already talked about. And that takes away some of the anxiety that we haven't got our best friend that we know is going to be perfect for it. Because you know what? We talked to our best friend today. We're going to talk to her tomorrow about a different exposure. And we also have 10 other people to talk to, because we're actively working our 100 names list, not to be salesy, not to say, hey girl, up in their DMs, but to ask them, are you okay? How are you doing? Do you need help with anything? And if in that conversation of working our hundreds names list, a need arises that we may have some support, then we ask, do you mind if I make a suggestion? And if they say yes, we have permission to then share. And then it was also mentioned, try to get through some of the common objections in your presentation. And that way you don't have to do it as much in the close. And then when you do come up with objections, we also mentioned this in previous calls, feel, felt, found. Wow, that's just, I don't know if I have enough money to get that. I know exactly how you feel. I did not have $200 in my bank account the day that I went to that home party, but I knew I needed this stuff. I knew I needed to get the toxins out. So girl, that next paycheck, I found my person to get my kit. I had to get it. This is what I found out. When I got it, it was it's the best investment I've ever made in my life. I don't want to do one of those things. I don't want to sign up for that. I know exactly how you feel. I did a couple of those things in the past, but you know what I found out? 97% of people that get a membership never even share. So I know exactly how you feel, but I found out that you don't have to worry about that with this company. So knowing the feel, felt, found method helps you get through a lot of it. So I've been seeing some of the stuff pop up in the chat, but I haven't seen all of it. So yeah, Stacy said Reds close themselves if they've had oils put on them. That is so true. Like, Panaway was playing. I walked into my home party knowing that I would not buy oils because oils from Amazon didn't work, and Panaway was placed on my body, and I was ready to get my kit then. And I had to suffer through a green person and a blue person both talk way too much for an hour and a half before I actually purchased my kit. But Reds, literally, if you get the oils on them and they work, they will close themselves. And then Valerie said there's a Oily Family graphic that helps with enrollment step by step. So yeah, definitely share that with us and we can share it with our teams. And then again, when somebody says, how do I sign up? If they clearly say, can you send me your link? You can send them the link and that graphic, and then it gives them all the steps, and that'll be easier. Okay, so Jocelyn, did you want to ask that, state that same statement to the group? Were you asking that like as a question about your coworker?
Oh no, I was just sharing. You were saying don't send the link.
Yeah, they
find themselves up essentially.
Yeah, like it gets too complicated. Like you need to like do a phone call with them and you pretend you're doing it at the same time if you don't remember the steps, or you need to get them the steps to do it so that they know how complicated it's going to be. And then Rebecca added, so if they say they want it, you say, great, where would you like that shipped? So those are some other tips. So anyone else want to share some tips or some things that they've liked or some things that they've learned in the past?
My two recent enrollments were on the phone, obviously, because I wasn't allowed to be near them. And it actually worked well because I kind of walked it through on my side. I just pulled up the browser and could say, and thank goodness I did, because the one woman, I don't even know what she was talking about. She was not on the same site. Like I don't know what she looked up, what she typed in, but she had like typed everything in. She's like, yeah, I got my information in there. I'm like, okay, so it says this. And she was not on the same thing. I think she was on somebody's, already in somebody's, like, and it just was like different, in somebody's website. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, back all the way out. Close that out. But yeah, if we can walk them through it, like, and be right there with them, that's awesome. Now with Zoom, we can do that. You can like share your screen with them and they could be on their phone, or you could do some different stuff. Like, but yeah, I just have to reiterate the red stuff too. Mainly when Tashina said the stuff about value, that was me. I didn't actually try anything at the class, but when my friend shared her story and made it valuable to my life and my scenario and like my postpartum depression and different things going on in my life, yep, done. I was done. I was like, here's the credit card. I gotta go. Like, I gotta get out of here now because I just wanted to do it, So, but yeah, this is really good. A lot of great information. It is, yeah, Hannah Cruz is one of my favorites. She's one that I watched like over and over again when I was first trying to feel more comfortable, because being red, I didn't need that much. I was just like, just tell me that it's worth it and I'm going to buy it. Whereas, at the other different personality types. So if you can find the different ones, I can't think of who else I watched, but I would be curious to see some of them, some of the different ones again, and I think we all still need to keep ourselves fresh with that. And I love the personality idea of kind of gearing it towards that. Like Tashina said, hitting on everybody, like the yellows, who are you going to help with this? Like once you start, and sometimes I've done that. Like I give them a little piece of paper so we're in person in a living room, and I give them a little piece of paper and I say, who, write down like 3 to 5 people that you thought of when we were talking about these oils. Because that's what we do, right? We're like, ooh, you know what? That one would be good for so-and-so. And like, or, that one's good for me, or that, people do that as they're taking notes, or they jot that down. And then those are their like 3 or 4 to get their kit for free, if you run into that objection too.
Just to say something, Valerie, about the reds, if I found myself that if a person makes a decision really quickly, with my personality, I almost feel like, oh, but I need to tell you more, and I have to like stop myself,
I do, but don't stop. They know what they want. Let them go.
So Rebecca, I'll add to that. So it's funny because I remember the first time, and she's on my front line, and she was a red, and I kept trying to, I'm like, no, but you didn't smell this oil. And at some point she was like, Dana, how much money is it? Like, just like, stop showing me oils. I already know that I want this. Just how much money is it? Where do I put my credit card? And I was like, yeah, but you don't know, because I'm green, yellow. So I'm like, yeah, but I didn't get to, and she was like, if you don't stop. So I do get that like 100%, but that was like my first experience. Cause I'm like, wait, what do you mean? You don't need to go home and think about it? Or like,
you don't need to try all the oils first.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have to rescue people from Dana all the time. I'm like, no, literally, you are now talking them out of the sale. They're there. Like, they need to just go to the laptop right now. That's what needs to happen.
The funny thing too is I'm thinking about duplication, because the person that got me started, when she told me about them, I had a 2-year-old and I had twin babies. And she was explaining to me just about the quality of the products, and that she used it for her son, what she used it for. And everything in me was like, yes, but she didn't know, this was 20 years ago. She didn't know how to sign people up, and she wasn't even sure how to place people. She didn't know what to do. So she ended up following up with me several times, but I remember thinking, if she just said to me, let me take your information, I'll put the order in for you, I would have been like, here, because I had no time to do it. Like I had 3 kids under the age of 2.5, and I knew it was a yes. And I thought back about that, and I was like, well, why am I getting hung up about closing someone and asking them for payment, when I needed that help? So that was just, I was just thinking about how so then it's like, does that duplicate out? And then now your business builder is going to handle the closing the same way,
Yeah, it does actually. I can't remember what book it was. Heart-centered sharing maybe talks about imprinting, something like that. Like if you do it a certain way, then that's kind of how your downline is going to do things. So I'm going to share. So this wellness consult, remember, is designed for your new member, but you can just use something very similar if you feel like you need a guide when you're sharing via social media and you're doing your phone call or your Zoom call or even in person. Just remember to ask these questions, because this is where we're really going to help people at. We just need to find out what their wellness priorities are. And then again, once they're actually a distributor, we need to get them on a 90-day wellness plan based on this. And so once we have the top filled out and they're actually one of our distributors, then we're gonna go through the steps of following up and making sure that they know these tools, right? Again, these are the tools. We don't have to know everything. We have to know where to point them to. So if you haven't done your virtual office training in YL Central, then you definitely have to do that, because that's where you're going to direct any new person to go. If you don't check the blog regularly, that's something you need to put on your list. That's going to educate you on a regular basis, as well as the value of making sure that you are sharing that with your team. And then when it comes to gauging whether they're ready for the business or not, I mean, that's always individual. We know that 97% of the people in Young Living never share with another person. But things that we want to do is normalize sharing. What the tip that Valerie just gave, Shannon Hudson says that all the time. She's like, can you think of anyone, wouldn't your mom or sister, can write them down right here. Normalize sharing from the beginning. Why wouldn't they want their sister, their cousin, their best friend, and their mom to go on this journey with them? And if they only hit star and stay at star and they only are a casual person, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine, because that's what most normal people do. But at least that's going to give them more motivation to get educated. It's going to help them get their kit paid for and want to be on Essential Rewards and stay on Essential Rewards, because they can get a check for $75 every month that will cover a part of that $100 order. So normalize sharing as much as possible. And then you can also, so there's a lot of people that have like a new member survey, and they will state that they're interested. So then when someone state that they're interested in the business, then again, ask additional questions. What does that mean? If you'd be interested in getting a check. And then Stacy added, sharing is normal. We share recipes and restaurants and movies and doctors and dentists and everything else under the sun all the time. So true. Yep. Who is it? Big Al Schreider. We do network marketing all the time. We just don't get paid for it. We do network marketing all the time. We just don't get paid for it. So yeah, it's crazy how certain people will seem like they're so against that thing, yet, somebody yesterday shared about CMOS that they got, and they were like, oh my goodness, this is so complicated. What am I supposed to do with this? And guess what? Young Living has CMOS in our Calcium Plus, and I don't have to process it myself. So much easier. So now I know that anybody that's excited about CMOS, I can naturally share about Calcium Super Cal Plus, because we have it. So yeah, just share naturally how you would anything else as a referral. And then Valerie's adding, Right now on Facebook, everyone is telling me what to buy for my voice register. They have no problem sharing their opinions, right? All that stuff. So yeah, so just make recommendations and referrals. And then when you see someone jump in, make sure that you're conscious about trying to gauge where they were. So for example, I have a little survey and I have someone who said that they would not mind getting their oils paid for. And I saw that she jumped on the rally and she stayed on the rally the whole time, but she doesn't really come to classes or anything like that. So I said, hey girl, you got 15 minutes to talk? And obviously I text her on a regular basis, right? Like this is not, she's never heard from me for a year and now I'm jumping in to attack her about let's do the business. She gets text messages from me every month, no matter what, because we have conversations and I love her and she's always on ER, whether she shares or not, right? So we have a relationship first. And so when I text her and say, hey girl, you got 15 minutes to chat? She was like, of course. And then we caught up because I hadn't talked to her on the phone in probably 3 months. It'd only been text messages. And then I just said, hey, I saw that. I was just remembering that when you filled out that survey, you said you might want to get your oils paid for. I was wondering how you're feeling about that recently. So we had a chat about that, right? So at the end of the day, her first steps were just to get engaged, right? We didn't decide to create a formal plan. We didn't decide to continue one-on-ones on a regular basis. My first steps was I sent her an email. I was like, well, let's get you engaged. Now that you're doing Zooms with your family, I'd love to see you on some of my Zooms that we have for classes. And if she shows up for those Zooms and she does those things, then we can have another conversation. So just be in tune to things like that to gauge where people are. So that was about all else I had to share. Anybody else want to reiterate or share some more about gauging whether the business is right for people, wellness consults, which we're going to get to in detail for new members and distributors next week, but just an overall.
I just wanted to add that about, when we're saying about sharing and sharing naturally, and don't feel like we can't share right now. I know I've heard a lot of that. I felt the same way initially. I actually had a little bit of reservations about, do I share? Like everybody's nervous, everybody's worried, like I'll look like opportunistic or that I'm taking advantage of people. No, I'm using this stuff. Like I'm not, if I weren't using it, that would be opportunistic and that would be taking advantage of people. If I was just trying to make a sale, like, oh, I have the goods, like I have this sanitizer that I don't use. Like, of course, I love a sanitizer. I'm like sad to give it away. Like I have a few and I'm like I kind of want to share it, but I kind of want to keep it for myself. So you're using all these products already. Like I did an emotional class. I think one of the first, maybe it was last Saturday. Obviously, you all know I've lost track of days. So I did it mostly for me. I'm like, I've been struggling emotionally with everything going on. So I'm like, if I am, everybody else is, or, like a lot of other people are. So they need that, they need to see us showing up. I just heard this quote. If you're not showing up consistently, they will find somebody else that is showing up consistently because they trust you, and then they'll go to this other person that they maybe like kind of trust a little bit, or they'll try to trust them and they will go with that person. So keep that in mind. We're not taking advantage of people. We're using these products. We are, and we do want to help people with this. I've had all sorts of different people reach out because I keep showing up, and not necessarily like Young Living showing up. Like I said, I just posted about Easter baskets because every year I'm doing this. I swear, I think I do it every year because it works. Because everybody wants to tell you what they put in their kids' Easter baskets, and I get all kinds of I can't make a basket big enough for all these ideas that I get. I would be in debt. But just showing up. I just try to have something on social media every day. And I do different things for Instagram and Facebook, but just showing up like that to let people know that we're available. And and we're sharing ourselves, we're somebody to trust. So don't, regardless of, I mean, if you're feeling all the feelings like I'm feeling, that's okay, and show that side. I mean, we're not robots. Like, that might be one of the negative traits of reds, but it's not. I'm not like a robot. I don't know. I'm not even positive. But I do feel all those feelings. So I'm sharing that, and I don't have it like all put together, although I did my makeup yesterday and took a picture of that. So that was my Young Living makeup, savvy. But keep showing up. You're all here tonight, so that's awesome.
Any last comments or shares or questions or concerns? Well, all righty. Then we.
Hello, Tashina.
Yep.
Hey. Now, okay, I guess piggybacking off of what she just said. I'm sorry if I don't know your name, but I was just saying what she was saying about the Easter basket. So, okay, I work at the post office, so everybody like worried about it because we're essential and everything or whatever. So if I gift them, even though I don't have as much sanitizer as y'all do, but it would be cool to like gift them like the sanitizer or the spray or whatever. That would be a good idea to do that. You get me? Hello?
Yes. So
Oh.
if that's the way that you choose to share, like I have personally, the reason why I bought 10 is so that I can share them and donate them to other people. That's the reason why I have them. And so if you can find smaller containers, but just remember that's one exposure. So what is your plan for the next exposure? How are you going to get those people to 7 exposures? Because no one's going to return to you and say, that was the most amazing hand sanitizer ever in life.
Okay.
Because, I mean, they may, but I doubt that they're going to, and then you're going to tell them it's $4. And then they're going to be like, oh, I'll just stick with my Bath & Body Works because it smells vanilla-y and I like vanilla better than, you know what I'm saying? That's just the one sample. Probably won't lead to kit sale, but it's a great start. And make sure you get them to their next exposure. Okay, Jocelyn, you have a question or a comment as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to her. I bought some aloe vera gel and I used 70% alcohol, which is, initially it had like a really strong smell, but then I added like 25 drops of Thieves, and it smells just like Thieves now. So if you wanted to do a DIY, you could also, you could do a DIY for the Thieves, like DIY Thieves sanitizer.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll send you the video for that. Dana did a really nice video. So, Stacy, you want to tell your story? Carrie wants to hear you tell the story.
I was typing it up. I wasn't even trying to do anything. I was at a La Leche League meeting, and you sit in like a big circle. They do a big circle. Everybody sits in, well, however many people are there. And there were a lot of people there. And I was sitting next to my friend, and I used some, probably after a diaper change, I assume, or something. And she's like, what the heck is that? That smells amazing. I'm like, is this hand sanitizer? This is what I use. I don't use that other crap. And she's like, well, I need that. I'm like, yeah, you do. All right. And I didn't sign her up like in that moment because we were in the middle of, all the other people around, and like we were chatting and talking and stuff. But she did come back to me later, and she's like, I really do need that stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, I know. Here's how you get a kit, and then you buy it. And then she did, and then she buys it.
So you may get a kit sale from the hand sanitizer, and you can make your own, which will still have the smell from Thieves, but always have the plan to take them from exposure to exposure.
I have a quick question. Your story prompted me, Stacy. I had a vendor event in the fall, and a woman won the hand sanitizer, and she works as an EMT. And anyways, I followed up with her probably 3 weeks ago, and she was sick for 3 months with something else, but she got together with family, and she remembered they were talking about their hands being so dry from washing and washing and washing. And she remembered that this hand sanitizer was still in her purse. And she took it out and passed it around to her mother-in-law, father-in-law, and 2 aunts. And so when I followed up with her, she said, oh, I passed it around. They all loved it and they wanted to know how to get it. And I was trying to get her information or I was like, oh, I would like to have talked to those individual people. She wanted to take my link. So how would you all have handled that?
That's a really good question. I had someone do that to me just recently. Can I get your link because I know so and so and so and so that want Young Living stuff. And I'm like, well, have them contact me personally. Nothing. But yeah, so I've same question. It's not the first time she's done that to me.
Yeah, most people will not ever come to give you money. Like if they got to go through 2 people, you have got to get their information and you have got to, again, yeah. I mean, the other person, it's really hard. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had a regular basis sign up people through somebody else. You know, I would find the need for the person that wants to do the referrals, and she hasn't had enough exposures, the one that's getting it. So how can we get her more exposures so that she knows that she needs it? Then she'll have more motivation to get additional people rather than think, because people don't understand Young Living versus direct sales, right? They think that this is a purse thing and this person has awesome purses. And so I'm going to help you out by giving this referral. When the reality is it's a whole bunch of work after that because we still have to share the value and everything. So where her mentality is not where it needs to be to actually be helpful. So how can we get her more exposures so she needs it and she uses it herself? Then the way that she refers will work the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah, and I don't even think she's thinking the referral was helpful so much as everyone was like, oh, wow, where did you get this? So I feel like they're left out there where they could go search online and go find it. And I'm like, no.
They will, Rebecca, they will do that if they liked it enough. Like I would have, me personally, Red, I would have gone straight for her and been like, okay, you loved it and they loved it. You are going to host a class and invite all of them, and I'm going to come teach you about the entire Thieves line. You love that hand sanitizer and it's bomb, okay? And I'm going to come show you how you get it for the best price in this kit. There's an entire line, okay? So the sanitizer doesn't dry your hands out, neither does the soap, and the cleaner is protect your hands from so many damaging things. I'm going to come teach you how to get this kit, and you're going to bring all of them so that you can all learn together at the same time and be benefiting each other. That's what we're going to do. No? How about Saturday? No? How about Tuesday? What about next week? What about the next week? Yep, good. Write it down. Literally, that's what I would do. They want it. If they all ask for it, they want it, and they're looking for you to close them, and I would go for it.
Yeah, I like how your posture was there, because in my brain, I was thinking, I want to get to her house and have them there, but now we can't do that. So I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Are they going to do a Zoom? And I kind of just got lost in it a little bit.
Then I would say that, you know. Ordinarily, I would teach you a class. I can't come to your house right now because it's illegal. But this is how we're teaching. I can teach you this. This is not hard for me, and it doesn't have to be hard for you. I could teach you this. We're going to get on this Zoom. Let me give you this link since everybody wants a link, right? Here's this link. It's a Zoom link. Put your face on there. You're going to see my face. I'm going to show you all these little things. It's going to be good. Go for it. Get her done.
And if you have an extra hand sanitizer, you can send her that for all that trouble.
Yep.
Because if she's gonna, it's like, I just said it today to some of my friends because I've seen some people complain about things going on in the world, like complaining, and that you know, like, because there's a business that's not open and they want to be open, and then this business is open and that kind of stuff. And to me, it's just an excuse. You've got to pivot. You got to figure it out, you know, like Stacy said, okay, so, I mean, Rebecca, I know that's what you would rather do. Of course, we all would, but we can't right now. So still, like, grab the bull by the horns and say, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. And, like, you get them on this call with me, you know, I'll put a hand sanitizer in the mail for you, or a sample, whatever, or a bonus something when you enroll or whatever. And then you do that, you know, like, just make it happen sooner rather than later, because yeah, they'll go to Amazon. Gosh, who knows what they're charging on Amazon these days. And we know it's probably not even like real, because there's nothing to seal hand sanitizer. Like, our hand sanitizers don't come sealed. The big ones do, but like the little ones don't have a seal on them. So that's like, do not buy that on Amazon, you know, but you know, we could work that, you know, just find, they'll go find it if they want it bad enough, if they love it. So you got it.
Yeah, for anybody that's in Grow, if you guys haven't seen Hannah Cruz's video that she did on the flip kits and how she's getting a lot out via Instagram, I would definitely recommend that you watch that, because that was a whole mind shift for me. I was like, man, I wish I had more blue. I thought of that before, because my strategy to selling via social media is throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, and sometimes it comes back to me. Yay! I mean, I sign up 1 to 2 people from all of my mediums regularly, but I don't never know when they're coming. So I'm like, wow, this is so smart and so exciting to celebrate this like this. Yes, I need to. So I ordered a CBD kit and I ordered a Thieves kit, and I'm about to implement what she was sharing. But yeah, you have to pivot, because I'm the same. Like, I am an extreme extrovert. I am great at closing people. I network, I meet someone, and 50% of the time I close them on the one-on-one. If I can look them in the eye, I can find their need, I can do all the body language, understand their body language. So for me, Zoom still isn't enough, because I'm like, I can't get all of the body language. You could be kicking your feet underneath and nervous. You could be kicking the table and really mad at me, but I can only see your face. Like, Zoom it's not the same as in person to me. You do get the tone of voice, you do get facial, but it's not the same to me. And I would have never chosen to do this ever, except for if someone is out of state and I don't have a choice. Now everyone can't leave their house and I don't have a choice. So I have to pivot, I have to adjust, and I have to go where people are, which is in stories, and I have to talk how they're gonna listen and teach how they know. Everyone knows Zoom now. There's so many people on my team that were like, I can't do technology and I'm not on Facebook. Everyone knows how to use Zoom now. So how awesome is that, that you can now do one-on-ones via Zoom?
I'll vouch those flip kits work. I have one. It just came back to me. So I'm going to post tomorrow. I posted on Instagram already, hoping that I would get it on there, but it didn't. But it was up for 10 minutes on my Facebook. And that was about the same day I found out about the word sanitizer. So don't use that word apparently, but most people are getting blocked by it. Facebook is blocking the word hand sanitizer or sanitizer because people are price gouging and they're giving misinformation, which, you know, part of me is thankful because there's a lot of misinformation out there. I love when Facebook does some fact checking, and then others I'm like, ugh. But so be careful when you're you can use the word hand purifier, and you can show a picture. They can't see the words on the picture, so just things to keep in mind. But I did have sanitizer in it. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it got blocked from a lot of my friends. Probably like 1,000 of my friends didn't see it, but the one did, and she sent me a message and said, yeah, so I think I want that kit. And I dropped it off later that day. I just wanted to get out of the house because I'm kind of like Tashina. Like, I was like, let's go for a ride. I don't even care if I don't actually. And I put it on her. I was like outside her door, like, I just want to like see somebody. But I like just set it there, and then I like walked away, and then I like heard the door, and I was like, "That's her. Hi!" I just set it right there. So then she could get it, and she was so excited, and you know, but it worked. Like the flip kits, you know, because we are an instant gratification society, right? Like it's driving us nuts that we like can't have these things that we need right away when we need them. So it's telling us to slow down, but we're still, if we can still get it, we can. So if you are able to get a flip kit, like it's worth, and if anybody's not sure what that means, it's just that you have a kit on hand that you ordered on your account. And then when the person orders, when they still log in, because this girl's like, oh, can I just write you a check? I'm like, oh, nope. We're going to walk through this whole thing. You're going to input all your information. You're going to make your account. We get to the shipping screen. You're going to enter my name. Oh, not my name, my address. You can't change the name in that part. So my post lady's like, oh, some random person. You're at fine. Yep, sure. Here you go, Valerie. Because I have all kinds of random names coming to my house. But that's how that works. So like and I had her choose the 3 to 5 day shipping, because FedEx 3 to 5 day shipping and the USPS like cheapest shipping, it's the same price. It's like only $6.98 now. I don't know what Young Living's doing, but it's amazing. It's only $7 and it comes super fast. Like it was, and they are getting new member kits out quick. So when we have new members, because each time I did it, and I had 2 in March that I did my flip kit with locals, and it was back to me in a week. Like it was right back. It was in that 3 to 5 day window, even though we were like ramping up all the, you know, and the last one was right at the end there. So if you are able to budget that, it is a really nice, like a leverage you can have, because you're like, I can come drop this off to you right now. Or you can come over here and pick it up off my porch. Like I'll spray it down with these before you come. No, say that privately. Tell them you'll spray it down privately.
Yeah, and that's how I found out my mail lady at my old house, because she was like, why do all these boxes come with other people's names on it? Well, let me tell you. And again, we had a relationship. I worked from home every Friday. I asked her how she was doing. I knew when she was stressed. I helped dig her out of the snow in the wintertime. And so then after months, when I said, hey, want to come to a spa party? She was like, oh, yes, of course. I like you. So, but yeah, so I will definitely try to gather up all these videos and resources, because I honestly think that's the best way. If you're like, ugh, I don't know about closing, and you told me this one thing and I still don't know how I'm not going to be pushy, I would watch video after video after video and find which one resonates with you and what language makes sense with you, and then practice. every single one of these skills, you just got to keep practicing them over and over again. All right, so we are definitely at time, so I'm going to close it out here. We'll get the replay within 35 minutes, plus a bunch of additional videos for you guys to keep on learning. And everyone have an amazing night. Bye, guys.